So has everybody had a good week so far?
Yep, been pretty good here.
Yeah, not bad.
Kind of rainy and gray.
Yeah.
It's supposed to rain still today in Kansas City. Scott's probably getting some down his way south of us.
Yeah, I sure am.
I'm ready for summer. Or at least sunshine and 70s would be nice.
Right.
Yeah.
Had a good time at NEAF. We did a lot of talking to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, that was a great time. It was good to see you guys there. We were so busy I couldn't even get over to your booth, but
Well, looking at your booth, Scott, looks like you had a guest almost all the time, so it was wonderful.
yeah, it was good. It was good. It's nice to do some live broadcasting from there, you know.
Yeah.
And so, but this is the Astronomical League live program, hosted by Terry Mann, and we've got Carol Orge, president of the Astronomical League, and the legendary David Levy with us right now. So we'll get started. What you're watching here is magnetic interaction on the sun, just in super high resolution.
Launching in 2029, the Da Vinci mission, named after Leonardo da Vinci, is designed to address fundamental questions about the origin, evolution, and composition of Venus. During 2 gravity-assist flybys, Da Vinci will study the cloud tops in ultraviolet light, tracking cloud patterns as they change with time and analyzing signatures of mysterious chemicals that absorb ultraviolet light. Both flybys will also examine heat emanating from the Venus surface on the planet's night side. We will look for geological clues of this planet's mysterious past to paint a global picture of surface composition and the evolution of the planet's ancient highlands. 7 months after our second flyby, Da Vinci will release its atmospheric descent probe. The spacecraft will watch its probe enter Venus's atmosphere over the course of 2 days. The probe will take about an hour to fall through the atmosphere, taking measurements and snapping images down to the surface. These measurements include profiles of composition, winds, temperature, pressure, and acceleration. Key gases will be measured to help us understand how Venus formed and evolved. Some of these measurements may reveal chemical signatures of ancient water. With our suite of measurements, Da Vinci will provide new insights into Venus's atmosphere's complex composition, structure, and chemistry. As the probe nears the surface, its descent camera will capture breathtaking bird's-eye views of the mysterious terrain known as the Alpha Regio Tessera, possibly revealing evidence in the rocks that water once flowed across the Venusian surface. These up-close images of the surface will provide new insights into geologic processes and will help us to understand what it might be like to stand on the Venus surface. An oxygen-sensing student collaboration experiment will shed light on the role of this gas in the Venus atmosphere. The discoveries that emerge from this diverse data set will tell us whether Venus was truly habitable. And the story we reveal at Venus will reach even beyond the solar system to analog exoplanets that will be observed with the James Webb Space Telescope. Venus is waiting for us all, and Da Vinci is ready to take us there and ignite a new Venus Renaissance.
Hello, everyone. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance, and you're watching the Astronomical League live with Terry Mann, who I'll bring on right now. Terry, it's been a wild month of astronomy. I mean, it was Global Astronomy Month. Astronomy Day was in here at some point. Dark Sky Week was here. We saw a launch from SpaceX that blew our minds. And unfortunately, it blew itself apart.
Yes.
But
And how about the Aurora show? Oh my gosh.
okay, yeah. So it's just been an amazing, amazing month. I think maybe April is like, the holiday season for astronomers. But you've got David Levy on. Looks like Carol Orge and Michael Bakich. So it's all great. I'll turn it over to you, Terry. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Scott. I appreciate you doing this. I was amazed at the Aurora show. I mean, I was amazed it was there. I live in Ohio. I did not see one thing. I did see one picture, I think, on space weather from Ohio. But man, it looked incredible. The sun has been so active. And thank goodness we have Michael Bakich here to talk to us about the solar eclipses coming up a little bit later on. So for right now, how about if we go to David Levy? David, I'd love to hear what you have to tell us about tonight.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Terry. And welcome, Michael. We're looking forward to your lecture. And we're looking forward to hear Carol talk about the convention in Louisiana. I can't wait to go to that because if for no other reason, the league will be meeting there. But my mom was born in New Orleans, so I know the area pretty well. Here is the poem. It'll come in two parts with a story in between. The first part, you need to guess the language, which is not English. Then I'll read the English translation at the end. Mi stars kaj gepis. La cielo estis lumigata. La cielo estis steloj sia en gi. Mi stars, mi ne sias kial. Sen desiro, sen volo, mi stars sur tiu silenta monteto. Kaj rigardis en la cielon gis. Miaj okuloj estis blandaj pro steloj kaj tenmovaj. Mi rigardis en la cielon. First of all, does anyone want to take a guess as to what language that is?
Book Davy says it's Latin.
No, it's not Latin, but it's related to Latin. And it's not Spanish either.
Italian.
It's what?
Italian?
No, it's not Italian.
French?
No, ce n'est pas français. No, it's not French. We're running out of guesses. We only have about 7,000 languages to go.
Yeah, that's right. How about Portuguese?
It's not Portuguese.
Nope. Okay.
The language is a very personal one for me. It is Esperanto.
Esperanto. Oh, yeah. I forgot about Esperanto.
Yeah. Well, a number of years ago, I was driving it with my mom in her car when I was visiting Montreal, and she just started ruminating about a story that happened with my father before the two of them met. And Mom said that Dad and his best friend were law students and they were taking a summer vacation, and they went to Cleveland. And when they were in Cleveland, they happened up to a hotel where they had an Esperanto convention going on. So they said, well, let's check this out. And as two young guys would do, they stopped and they checked it out. They introduced themselves to the manager of the conference. And Dad said that I'm interested in this because my great uncle was Dr. Zamenhof, the inventor of the language. And that would have been my grandmother's uncle was Dr. Zamenhof. And the person in charge of the conference was really excited and said, it's a pleasure to meet you. I would like to invite you both to the conference. And Dad said, I would love to go. And I would love to invite you to address the conference. And my dad said, I would love to do that. Because like me, Dad loved to give a speech. And then he said, I would like you to give the lecture in Esperanto. And Dad looked at his friend and looked at the guy and said, I would love to do that. And so the guy then turned around to go back to arranging things for the meeting. Dad looked at his friend and said, we have to get the hell out of here fast. So they got into their car and they tore off. And so his friend said, well, where are we going to? And Dad said, well, let's go to Camp Moden, where we both used to work, and see what's going on there. Camp Moden is like 3 days away. It's all the way in Maine. Said, well, we got some time. So that's where they went. And when they got there, Dad started meeting some of the counselors, especially the women counselors. And he met the person who was running the waterfront. Her name was Edith Paylett, born in New Orleans. And by the time Dad and his friend were ready to leave the camp, my father was in love with Mom. It was kind of challenging because Mom was engaged at the time to someone else. And so Dad had to somehow talk Mom out of that engagement and to marry him instead. And which you all know, that's what happened. And they were married in 1939. I was born about 9 years later, and I'm still here. Anyway, now I'm going to finish by quoting the English translation of the poem, which I'm sure you've all heard before. It is Wendy's favorite poem. I stood and stared. The sky was lit. The sky was stars all over it. I stood. I knew not why. Without a wish, without a will, I stood upon that silent hill and stared into the sky until my eyes were blind with stars, and still I stared into the sky. Thank you very much, and back to you, Terry.
Thank you, David. I have nights like that where the nights are just so clear and there's so many stars in the sky. It's like you can't take your eyes off of them. I think it's because it's so unusual anymore to get a sky that's that dark and that clear that you can actually spend time just relaxing and soaking it in.
It's more like blessed to get a sky that good.
It is. Yeah.
We have a lot of them in this area, but
yeah.
But it is whenever you get a sky that's as beautiful as that, wherever you are, you really must take advantage of it.
Yeah, I think you do. Whether you have a telescope, binoculars, or just your eyes, if you're an amateur astronomer, it's what we all live for. So, yeah. All right, David, thank you very much. Definitely appreciate that. And Carol, you are up next. We're all looking forward to hearing about Alcon and anything else about the league you would like to tell us. So you're on.
Thank you, Terry. And Michael, welcome. Good to see you again. And I'll try to share my screen here. Let's go back one screen. Okay, today is April 28th. And we've got like 3 months before our Alcon actually begins. I can't believe it's quite this soon, but here we are.
Are you,
One of the things I'd like to share, is everybody see it okay?
yeah, it's not in presentation mode though, Carol.
Okay, let's go back here. Thank you.
I was gonna say, I see you very well, but not the screen.
Are we there yet?
Here, let me have you go back and share again.
Okay,
Okay.
but here
There
we
we
go.
go.
Share the screen.
Sometimes it is tricky with
Yeah.
PowerPoint and sharing
Yeah,
on.
there we go. Share. And I should be there now.
Okay. You're in you're like in the editor's mode of PowerPoint. I think you just need to go to,
Okay, sorry about that.
presentation mode.
Okay. All right. And are we there?
No.
No.
Well. Got a new laptop, which is not helping the.
Yeah.
Well, you can, of course, see the slides. So,
Okay.
We can see you, that's the important part.
that's
Well,
right.
I'd like to see my screen.
That's right.
Okay, here we go. Going to pick a slideshow. And beginning. Okay. And then let's go with this. Still not showing, huh?
Nope.
No.
I think what I will do, why don't we go ahead and let Michael do his thing, and I'm going to sign up on a different laptop and do it that way after
Yeah,
that.
I think this is your Snagit editor. Okay, I think that is, if you're going to PowerPoint, I think you're, the apps look so similar,
Oh,
PowerPoint to this.
So you think he's in edit mode, right?
He's, if this looks like something where you can grab images off of your desktop or your
okay.
laptop.
Let's close those
And then-
windows there and see
Yeah.
if I can get out of there. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Okay.
All right, and here I'll just stop that.
All right.
sharing. There we go.
Now we're going to go back. Sorry about the hassle.
It's all right.
We're going to get there.
It's what happens when you get new gear.
That's right. But I was learning
If it
curve,
was a
and I
telescope,
thought I
it would
had the
start to
learning curve out
rain,
of the way.
So
Okay, let's go here.
I'm thinking how much trouble we're going to be in because he's got a new laptop, Chuck Allen does, and I do. So
and you do too.
with new laptops.
I'm
You
not
don't-
getting a new laptop.
Don't do
I
it
can
yet.
don't
see how much
because this is not good. Okay. Are we there yet?
But
Try
you're not
sharing.
sharing. I unshared you. Okay, so you have to bring it back, go into share, grab PowerPoint.
Let's see, am I?
And then commit to
Okay, here we
share.
go. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, here we go. And I'm
Okay.
going to grab my PowerPoint. Okay.
Now this looks promising.
And then,
Now you go into presentation mode.
all right, here we go. And I think,
There you go.
all right.
There it is.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, audience. We've been a little delayed with technical difficulties.
Okay.
And one should never upgrade their equipment at all. But anyway, here we are. Okay. Tonight is the April 28th, 2023. And once again, we're here for Astronomical League Live. I'd like to talk mostly about the upcoming Alcon 2023, scheduled for July 26th through 29th in Baton Rouge. And we have a whole host of activities as well as speakers. And I would point you to the bottom right of the slide there, alcon2023.org. That's where all things Alcon will be located. And registration has been up for about 3 weeks now. And so it's coming along very nicely. One thing I would point out that one of the main features of, as far as the trips, is the LIGO Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory in the area of Baton Rouge. And that should be a lot of fun. And we checked just today, a few minutes ago, and there's 21 slots still available for that July 27th, 2023 special trip. So you need to make your reservations right now to make sure you get in one of those 21 slots. Also, the committee asked me a few minutes ago to remind everybody that Fred Espenak will be giving his talk at the Louisiana Arts and Science Museum on Thursday night, and that's something you won't want to miss. Also, the link for reserving your room at the hotel is listed on the screen there. So if you want to take a look, I'll give just a little while before I move forward. The rates are $139 per night, very comparable. And there's lots of hotels, lots of restaurants within walking distance. The state capitol is located, I would say, half a mile, maybe just a little bit more away. And there's a lot of good things to see in the area. Also, anybody out there who is a master observer who does not have your plaque to recognize your fine achievement, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity and attend Alcon. We will be presenting plaques to new master observers. The picture on the screen is from Alcon 2022 from Albuquerque, and we had about 14 master observers, newly minted master observers, who received their plaques. It's really nice to have an Alcon in a location where there's lots of clear skies, because for this particular convention, about half of the participants, or maybe just a little more, were members of the Albuquerque Astronomical Society. That's amazing what clear skies will do when you have more of those than we have in the Midwest, which is lots of cloudiness at times. So make sure you take advantage of that. And that is it. And now back to Terry.
Thank you, Carol. It is really nice. Am I okay? I was going to say it showed I was muted. It's nice to hear about what is going on with Alcon, because it will be coming up before we really even realize it. And I know I went in and made reservations. It's very easy to do your reservations. I have not registered yet, but I'll get to that. But the hotel is very easy to register at. Please join us. I can't imagine having the opportunity to go to LIGO. And if I understood it right, Carol, it was only for one day for the one tour, and that's all the slots that are available.
That is correct. We were hopeful that there might be a second trip involved, but their schedule is very tight, so we have the one trip. But it's worth your wait make sure you get registered now so that you don't miss that opportunity.
So 21 seats is all we have left. And let me make something else clear, or ask the question. LIGO and Fred Espenak are on the same day. If you do the LIGO tour, you will be back in time to do the planetarium show that night also.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure of. So, okay, thank you, Carol. It's great to see you again. Haven't seen you since Nice, so take care, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
Oh, yes.
Tonight, we have a very special speaker. I heard Michael speak at Alcon, and I sit there just amazed. I love the talk, and I thought how much the people here on AL Live would love to hear this talk and enjoy the information, especially from somebody as experienced as Michael Bakich. He is a former senior editor of Astronomy Magazine, which I think everybody must probably know that, but he is also an author and co-author of 2 eclipse books. Your Guide to the 2024 Total Solar Eclipse, focus, is one of them. And then the Field Guide, along with Michael Zeller, the Field Guide to, this doesn't work very well, does it?
It's all right. I have a slide of them.
That makes it easier. Both of these books are excellent. I have been working with the libraries and parks, and those 2 books I have recommended quite a bit, and they have picked them up, and everybody loves these books. Full of such good information. You know, it really helps so much to have that in our hands. So, Michael, thank you very much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I will turn this over to you.
Okay, thank you, Terry. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, David. I'm done thanking people. All right, here we go.
Looks good.
Excellent. Very good. Okay, so tonight I want to talk about a couple of events that are coming that you may have heard about. They are the 2 solar eclipses, one this year and one next year. Okay, so 2023 and 2024. And permit me a small commercial. The 2 books on the left, available at greatamericaneclipse.com, I did with Michael Zeiler. I wrote the text, and Michael, of course, did the maps. And then the other one I did for really the Astronomy Magazine online store, myscienceshop.com, and I wrote the text, and I also had Michael do the maps for those. So we have a really good collaboration going. Okay, so not sure exactly what the experience level was as far as the audience goes. What is a solar eclipse? Okay, a solar eclipse is an exact lineup of the sun, the moon, and Earth in that order. Okay, and at some point, the shadow of the moon falls on Earth. Now, the moon's shadow has 2 parts. And the reason it has 2 parts is because the sun isn't a point of light, it's a big disk of light in the sky. And so there is the outer, lighter region of the shadow. It's called the penumbra. And then there's the inner, darker region called the umbra. And it's the same, the word comes from the same Latin term where we get our word umbrella. Okay, so the umbra, if you're standing in the umbra of a solar eclipse, you're going to see a total solar eclipse. If you're standing in the penumbra, you're going to see a partial eclipse. Now, there's another type of eclipse besides total and partial called an annular eclipse, and that's the diagram here in the middle. An annular eclipse, and again, the name comes from the Latin word annulus, which means ring. So even at mid-eclipse, there's a ring of not just sunlight, but the sun's surface around the moon. So an annular eclipse is never safe to look at unless you have an approved solar filter, solar glasses, something like that. The reason annular eclipses happen is because the Earth-Moon distance changes, and also the Earth-Sun distance changes. So if Earth is really close to the sun looks bigger, the moon during an eclipse may not cover the entire disk of the sun. Or if the moon is far away from Earth, again, it may not cover the solar disk. So that's what's happening during an annular eclipse. Our annular eclipse, and when I say our, I mean the one that's going to go through the United States, will happen October 14th, which is 169 days from today. Plenty of time to plan, plenty of time to decide where you're going and what you're going to take and everything else. 169 days from today. The magnitude of this eclipse is 0.952. Magnitude is a ratio. It's the ratio of the diameter of the moon to the diameter of the sun. If the magnitude is 1, then both disks are equal and you'll have a total eclipse. If it's greater than 1, you'll have a total eclipse. But if it's less than 1, you may have a partial eclipse if it's not an exact lineup. But in this case, we have an annular eclipse. So this number means that the moon's diameter is 95.2% that of the sun. Okay, so it's not 100% of the sun's diameter, only 95%, which is why it doesn't cover it. The maximum amount of annular eclipse that you'll be able to see is 5 minutes, 17 seconds. Okay, that's the maximum duration of the annular part of the eclipse. Here's a nice animation done by Fred Espinack and Michael Zeiler. And you can see the path of angularity going through the United States and then Central and South America. And it's down at the bottom left, you can see the time of angularity. So it's about 5 minutes when it leaves the United States, and it's actually at maximum during the time when it's in Central America. So pretty good degree of angularity, almost 5 minutes throughout the path. In the US, 6.6 million people already live within the path. 6.6 million. The two big cities are San Antonio in Texas and Albuquerque. Those are the two largest cities. Everything else is fairly small. 6.6 million, I mean, for a path this long through the United States isn't all that much, but this is indeed the path. So all they have to do on the day of the eclipse is go outside, look up, and they will see an eclipse if their eyes are filtered very safely. So let's talk about the path. So it starts here on the Oregon coast at the Pacific Ocean, and it moves through Oregon, quite a swath through that state. It clips northeastern California right here, and then you can see a nice swath through Nevada. Very nice. Northern Nevada, not very many big cities, no big cities up there, very few small cities even. Then it hits Utah, and you can see moving diagonally through that state, so a lot of possibilities through Utah. And right here, we have an interesting opportunity, if you'd like to take it. You can be at the Four Corners area, where the borders of 4 states meet and have an annular eclipse go on above your head. As we continue along the path, the Four Corners in this slide is way up here to the upper left, and then you have a wonderful wide swath through New Mexico, which includes Albuquerque, and then, because it's a large state, big section of area through Texas, at which point the eclipse moves out into the Gulf of Mexico and it's done with the United States. Now, because I've done a number of these talks, know the question you're thinking right now. Okay, Michael, see the path. Where are you going to be? Let me show you where I'm going to be. Okay? My co-author and the map maker of all of those books, Michael Zeiler, lives in Santa Fe. Okay, so here's Albuquerque, near the center line of this eclipse. Santa Fe is a bit to the north. Now, the last time my wife Holly and I were in Santa Fe, we were chatting with Michael and his wife, and we thought, oh, what a wonderful opportunity. You know, we could just sit in Michael's jacuzzi and look up and watch the annular eclipse. And we talked about it a little more, and we thought, okay, well, you know, there is another possibility. So we're not going to be in his jacuzzi. We're going to be here, right at the northern edge of the path of annularity. Why are we going to be there? Okay, this is actually at the ski resort where Michael is a member. Okay, so he's got a little area arranged there. Now, of course, this is what we're talking about now. If it's cloudy there on eclipse day, we're going to make other plans, of course, but this is our plan as of right now. What we want to see is we want to see an extended run of what are called Bailey's beads. Okay, so if you're thinking about a total solar eclipse, the very last moments before totality happens, we have what literally look like a string of brilliant beads along the edge of the moon's disk. And the reason that they're there is because these are bits of the sun's surface shining through valleys in mountain ranges on the edge of the moon. They literally look like beads, and because the first astronomer to describe them was English astronomer Francis Bailey, well, they're named after him. So here's a wonderful animation of Bailey's beads. And you can see just a beautiful. Now this stops before totality and before the corona comes out. So during an annular eclipse, of course, you're not going to have this much of the sun covered. So to observe Bailey's beads, you're going to either use filtered binoculars or a filtered telescope. But what happens is you don't just get a few seconds if you're at the northern or southern limit of the path. We'll probably get a minute or more of Bailey's beads. I've never experienced that before. Now, I wouldn't do this for a total eclipse. I want to be dead center. I want the maximum amount of totality during a total eclipse. But for an annular eclipse, this is what we're going to be doing. Now, again, safety matters. So in this top picture, Holly is using a number 14 Welder's filter. Only number 14 is dark enough. In this picture, this is a pair of eclipse glasses, both the Welder's filter and eclipse glasses, about $2 each. And then here you can see Holly looking through a telescope, but note two things. One, right here, there's an approved solar filter on the front of the telescope, not at the eyepiece, the front. And just in case, you can see the little finder scope here has its cap on, because you don't want anybody looking through that by mistake. Very bad. Okay. Let's take a look at, not weather, okay, climate. These are the predictions. Okay, so these are clear sky days in October. And you can see of the path going from Oregon, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, Texas. You can see New Mexico has the best of it. By the way, I live here in this dark area. Just saying. Anyway, New Mexico has the best of it. Albuquerque is within this area. So as of right now, your best bet to see the annular eclipse is to be somewhere along the path in New Mexico. Okay, now you may not be able to get there for a number of different reasons, but climate says that's the best place. Now you want to stay mobile around eclipse day, because 3 days before, 2 days before, and especially a day before, you want to listen to as many local weather broadcasts as you can, because you want to make sure that, okay, if I'm going to be in Albuquerque, well, you know, is it really going to be clear, or am I going to have to drive to Texas where it will be clear, or up to Utah where it will be clear? So give yourself some time. Make sure you check weather, which happens 3 days, 2 days, the day before the eclipse. By the way, if you're going to be in Albuquerque, you might want to get up early, because the date of the annular eclipse is also, I think, the start, or maybe it's the middle of their famous balloon fest there. So, wow, that's a 2-in-1 that you don't want to miss. Okay, so that's the annular eclipse. Annular eclipses are fun. Partial eclipses are fun. But, my friends, the 4 words I live by, it's all about totality. Okay? That's it. It's all about totality. Nothing you will ever experience will compare to a total solar eclipse. This one, April 8th, is a good one. Some of you, probably a lot of you, saw the one in 2017. The maximum duration of totality at that point was 2 minutes 40 seconds. Okay, so this total eclipse on April 8th, 346 days from now. Okay, plenty of time to plan. 346 days. The magnitude, oh, thank goodness, it's greater than 1, so we know it's a total eclipse. So this number tells us that the moon's diameter is 5.66% greater than the sun's. Okay? Because of that, the maximum duration of totality is a whopping 4 minutes, 28 seconds. Now, that maximum duration happens just across the Texas border in Mexico. But on the Texas border, you're only going to lose 1 second, 4 minutes, 27 seconds. We'll get into that. Okay? And here's the path. And thank you again, Fred and Michael Zeiler, for this wonderful animation. You can see the moon's umbra right here. It crosses a lot of Pacific Ocean before it hits the coast of Mexico. I don't know if any of you were in Mexico in 1991. In Mazatlan, well, you could actually see another total solar eclipse from there on April 8th. And then it goes up through Mexico and then into the United States and into Canada. Those are the only 3 countries that this particular path of totality touches. So for this eclipse, wow, in 2017, 12.25 million people lived in the path of totality. That many people live in the path before the eclipse leaves Texas. Okay, in all, 31.5 million people live in the path of totality. So on eclipse day, if it's clear, all they have to do is go up, look up, boom, eclipse. Wow, that's a lot of people. Let's talk about the path. Okay, the path, as I said, starts in Mexico, and this blue line is the Mexico-U.S. border. You know, if you're into various things in astronomy, some of us collect meteorites, okay? Probably, if not the most famous meteorite, certainly the most studied meteorite of all is the Allende Fall, which occurred in 1969. There was a shower of stones over Allende, Mexico. Allende, if you look at my arrow, is this small town right here. It happens to be at one of the points where the eclipse is greatest, 4 minutes, 28 seconds. So if you want to be at the point where probably the most famous meteorite shower fell on Allende, Mexico, and see a total solar eclipse, then go a little bit across the border. It'll only be about a 45-minute drive from the border to Allende. I would imagine a lot of people are going to do that. I'm not going to cross the border. I'm going to be very close to it, though, near Eagle Pass, because on the center line there, right when totality happens in the United States, the totality lasts 4 minutes, 27 seconds. That's an astounding amount, okay? So then the eclipse starts to move through Texas. Let's take a look. The first city that it encounters is San Antonio. And you can see about the northern third of San Antonio lies within the path. Pretty much all of Austin does. Killeen, a lot closer to the center line. Waco, even closer. And then, of course, we hit the big metroplex of Dallas, Fort Worth. 7.5 million people. If it's clear, wow, what a show. Okay, take a look at Dallas. Where do you want to be? You want to be in the north? No, no, no. You want to be in the south. And a short drive will net you probably an extra 15, 20 or more seconds of totality. Okay, so we continue, and this line represents, well, actually two borders, the Texas-Oklahoma border here and the Texas-Arkansas border here. Let me say one more thing about Texas. Okay, the path of totality that goes through Texas, if you're on the center line in Texas and it's clear, you will get no less than 4 minutes of totality. It's 4 minutes or greater through the entire state of Texas. In fact, it even goes farther than that. Okay, so Oklahoma, okay, no large cities here in the path, but you know, some of you may need to stay within the state boundaries of Oklahoma, you know, for legal reasons. And then it moves into Arkansas. Little Rock down here at the bottom is near the edge. So if you're basing in Little Rock or live in Little Rock, you probably want to drive a little bit along I-40 to the center line, and you can see about 4 minutes, 16 seconds of totality from there. And then the Missouri border, and Missouri gets a bunch of totality, a lot of small towns in southeastern Missouri. Carbondale is on that X. So the 2017 eclipse went through there, and the 2024 eclipse also will go through there. So hopefully Southern Illinois University will again be clear, and people in Carbondale will see this particular totality. Illinois also gets a little, Indiana, and in Indiana we have the next great city to be covered, Indianapolis. Okay, the entire city of Indianapolis is covered by the moon's umbra. Again, better to be in the southeastern part, but you know, anywhere in Indianapolis, if it's clear on eclipse day, you'll see totality. Then we move into Ohio. Cincinnati, right on the edge. You know, you want to probably get out of Cincinnati and head north. Dayton is within the path, but again, you'll get another minute and a half if you go to the center line. Columbus, where the Ohio State University, where I went to undergraduate school, also is right at the edge. But for cities in Ohio, I guess you can't do better than Cleveland. And boy, how often have I not said that? So here's Cleveland. Okay, so I have a cardinal rule during eclipses. And I've been to 14 total eclipses. I've been to maybe half a dozen annular eclipses, plenty of partials, lots of lunars. No music, okay? We want to concentrate on what's going on with the sky, with nature around us, so no music. However, if you're going to be observing the eclipse from the parking lot of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, okay, even I might put on Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, okay? The one exception that I will give. Then the umbra moves into Pennsylvania, and Erie, which is right on Lake Erie, gets a nice dose of totality. And then we move into New York. A couple nice cities. Buffalo, completely covered. Rochester. Syracuse is down here. But if you want a serious photo opportunity, well, there's always Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls, I mean, there's a lookout there where you can set up your camera and literally catch the eclipsed sun about 40 degrees above the falls. Whew, wow. Again, climate statistics say not the best chance to see the eclipse from there, but boy, if it's clear, somebody is going to get the picture of this entire eclipse. Okay, so we continue through New York, and then we clip a little bit of Vermont, and New Hampshire, and we end in the United States in Maine. You can see a lot of Maine is in the path of the eclipse. What you don't see is any big cities and really not very many small cities. So again, I mean, the worst climate statistics in Maine, but still, you know, who knows? Weather is what happens that day. Okay, so in 2024, every point in the 48 states will have at least a 16% partial solar eclipse. To that I say, whoopee, okay? It doesn't matter if the eclipse is 16% or 56% or 96%. It's still a partial eclipse. And remember, it's all about totality, because there are things you can see during totality that you can't see during any partial eclipse, okay? Let's talk about some of them. So what do we look for during the eclipse? Well, the first thing I look for is what's called first contact. That's that first little bite out of the sun's disk that the moon takes. And people have told me, man, Michael, wow, what are you getting excited about? Big deal. You know what this tells me? I'm in the right spot. Okay, I've picked the right place. Okay, the maps were right, the calculations were right. First contact, and I'm usually the one using binoculars or a telescope, filtered, of course, at this point, screaming out first contact, and it gets everybody excited. It's wonderful. Okay, as the eclipse progresses, the partial eclipse progresses, more and more of the sun is covered, and if there are any trees in the area, you may get a display of what are called pinhole suns, because the space between the leaves of trees, especially if there's a little bit of a breeze moving around, projects a pinhole image of the crescent sun. And here's one I took in El Paso during a partial eclipse of the sun way back when, but it was projected on a utility building that we had in our yard. So as the eclipse becomes closer and closer to total, the sun moves from a disk of light in the sky to almost a pinpoint. And because of that, you will see a dramatic sharpening of your shadow as you get closer and closer to totality. It's a wonderful effect, and it's not totality yet, so it's okay to look all around, look on the ground, take a picture of your shadow. A very, very sharp shadow. Okay. So, what are the two most exciting words in science? I think it's when somebody finally screams, "Diamond ring!" Okay, because this is about when totality starts. So you can see the last tiny bit of the sun's surface. That's the diamond part. But you also start to see the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona. And the combination of those two in the sky looks like a diamond ring. And it's just marvelous. Now, as the diamond ring fades, you'll get to see Bailey's beads. And I talked about those during when I was talking about the annular eclipse. So Bailey's beads is definitely something you'll see. Now, people have asked me, okay, Michael, we know that we have to use a safe solar filter. Is it okay to look at Bailey's beads without a solar filter? Okay, let me just say that I've done that 14 times. Okay, 14 times, and I can still see the screen. So, yes, right now we are at such a low level of the sun's illumination that, yes, this is safe to look at. So at the diamond ring, that's when you want to start shedding filters off binoculars, off your telescope, and definitely don't want to look at any part of totality through eclipse glasses. Okay, so totality is for just your eyes, or also safe through binoculars or through a telescope. There's one other thing you may see, and I've seen that this 3 or 4 times. There's a layer of the sun just above the visible disk called the chromosphere. It's called that because chroma means color. Indeed, it is a deep red hue, and you can see this best through binoculars, but sometimes you can pick it out with your eye. And I mean, it literally lasts a second or less. And so you may see this reddish curve of what the atmosphere that lies above the sun's surface called the chromosphere. Then, wow, okay, now we're in for the show because the corona appears. Corona is the Latin word for beer. No, wait, that's not right. It's the Latin word for crown, okay? This is the sun's crown. You can't see it during the daytime on a regular sunny day because the corona is only 1/1,000,000th the brightness of the sun's disk. So what else is 1/1,000,000th the brightness of the sun's disk? Well, it happens to be the full moon. So a lot of times when people go to a total solar eclipse for the first time, they expect it to be midnight dark. It's not. If you want to see about how bright the landscape is going to look during the middle of totality, go out some night when the full moon is high in the sky. That will be about, you can easily make your way around, you can see. Now, on a full moon night, okay, we're not just dealing with a narrow shadow cone. So on a full moon night, you're going to see a lot more stars than you'll see during the eclipse. But that's really the only difference. The landscape will be equally lit up with both the full moon and the corona. Another thing that you should take just a few seconds, because remember, the drama is in the sky, but take a few seconds during totality to look around at what's called the 360-degree sunset. Remember, you're in literally a cone of shadow. And so all around you is sunrise and sunset is occurring. So the 360-degree sunset is definitely worth, a few seconds to look around. Okay, here's the sky at totality. Unfortunately, no bright stars. Fortunately, 2 extremely bright planets. Now, for you amateur astronomers, we can talk about brightnesses of planets in terms of their magnitudes. The brightest planet, always, is Venus. It's going to be 15 degrees away from the sun. So here's Venus. So if you look at the sun, you'll definitely see Venus. Not only during totality, but somebody will see it probably 10 minutes before totality. Now, if you're going to search for Venus through binoculars, be really careful that you don't swing them in the direction of the sun. It's best to stand like in the shadow of a building to do that. But you won't need binoculars. Venus will pop out before totality. Maybe 10 minutes before, maybe 5 minutes before, depends on the clarity of the sky. And then right as totality occurs, you'll also see Jupiter. Jupiter's not as bright as Venus, but you'll definitely see it. It's 30 degrees on the other side of the sun. And I just put these other planets and stars in for reference because you won't see it. Mercury is way too faint to see during totality. Saturn and Mars, you probably could see through binoculars, but I mean, you'd have to do a search. And again, I don't want you to spend that kind of time looking for literally 2 dots of light in the sky when the brilliant corona is all above you. People ask me, how much time should I spend looking at it just with my eyes and looking at it through binoculars? The choice is yours, but usually I'm about 50-50. The view with just your eyes, because it's so wide angle, is really dramatic. But to get a really good view of the corona, nothing beats binoculars. My wife uses 7x50 binoculars, and I use image stabilized 18x50 binoculars. So I can look at quite a bit of the inner corona and most of the outer corona, whereas she, through binoculars, is seeing the entire corona. And then, of course, you remove the binoculars. But, go back and forth and come up with your own ratio. Okay, let me give you a few tips. First, get there early. Okay, get there early, because eclipse day will probably see traffic like you won't believe. Now, there is another part to this. You may not have much traffic getting there, but I promise you will have traffic leaving. So don't be in a hurry to leave. Okay, hang around, because a lot of people, especially if it's parents with small children, a lot of people will, as soon as totality is over, they're gone. They're on the road. In 2017, I did an event in St. Joseph, Missouri, a little bit north of Kansas City. We had to take a friend to the airport. That drive is normally 40 minutes. It took us 6 hours. 6 hours to make a 40-minute drive after the eclipse. So don't be in a hurry to leave afterward, because that's when the serious traffic will happen. And you know what? Just chill out, chat about the eclipse with your friends, review any pictures that you've taken, things like that. Okay, solar safety doesn't just mean protect your eyes, it means sunscreen. Okay, I know it's April 8th. Now, this may not be as important in Maine as it is in Texas, but remember, you're going to be out under the sun probably for a number of hours, because you're going to get there early, you're going to set up, you're going to be under, so definitely sunscreen. Also, if your sunscreen on your shelf is more than 2 years old, throw it out and get a new bottle. Never do this, okay? Now, note in this picture that it's a cloudy day. Not only that, but Holly isn't looking toward the sun, even on a cloudy day. So these are unfiltered binoculars, and she's wearing solar filtered glasses. And I think Scott, on his website somewhere, has a demonstration of what can happen if you use binoculars or a telescope with solar glasses. The intense light of the sun would burn right through those glasses and cause either severe eye damage or blindness. So never do this. Always have the filters on the front of your optics. Traffic is going to be something. You don't want to have to stop for gas, so fill your tank up before you get to your destination, because you may need to pick up and move, if, clouds are coming in, we need to move, 50 miles to the northwest or whatever. Fill your tank up with gas. So this is about as kind a way as I can say this. 15 minutes before totality, make sure you've gone to the bathroom, because you certainly don't want to, be clenching and 2 minutes before totality hit the can. That's just not going to happen. I mean, you just can't let that happen. Okay, so if you like that, you're going to love this, because if you're a parent and you're going to bring a small child to the eclipse, okay, which I highly encourage. I think it's a wonderful thing. They may not be as interested as you want, but years from now you can say, you were there, you saw that eclipse. Oh, really? I don't remember. Anyway, and if little Jenny or little Billy says to you 5 minutes before, 3 minutes before, 2 minutes before the eclipse totality, they say, Mommy, Daddy, I need to go to the bathroom. You need to be mentally prepared to look them in the eye and say, go in your pants. Just saying, okay? You'll thank me. You will, because what do we say? It's all about totality. Don't let anything get in your way. Not even that. Okay? Not even that. Okay, let's talk about climate in April. Okay, so this eclipse is what we call a crapshoot. There really isn't a spot in the United States where the path of totality where it's a better than 50-50 chance. So you really want to stay mobile. You absolutely want to stay as mobile as you can, and then make your decision the day before the eclipse or sometimes even on eclipse day. I pulled some images from satellite views on April 8th. This one is 2017. Okay, well, Texas looks good. Indiana looks good. A little bit of Ohio, a little bit of clouds. But then, 2018, Texas still looks good. Ohio, Cleveland would be okay. That's about it. 2019, lots of clouds along the path, except Texas. And you may think, oh, Texas is always safe. Look at what happened in 2020. You just never know. And these are past images. You can't go by what these images are telling you, except in a general sense. Generally, Texas is clear the farther to the southwest you go. But look, in 2021, even parts of Maine would have seen totality. So, pick your spot carefully, but go. See this eclipse. Because after this one, if you're staying in the United States, it'll be another 20 years before the continental U.S. gets another totality. This is the path in 2044. And let's be honest, it's a pretty crummy eclipse that's only visible in Montana and North Dakota. Not that great, a lot through Canada, but again, weather prospects not good for this eclipse. Just remember these 4 words. It's all about totality. People, if you've never seen a total solar eclipse, put this on your lifetime bucket list. You will thank me forever for sending you to this. And then I will speed through this slide because we saw it before, but hey, it's a commercial and, I'm a starving author. So that's all I had to say. Thank you very much for having me, and hope to do this in person again sometime soon.
Thank you, Michael. Definitely hope to have you do this in person again. So, Scott, do you have any questions anywhere that anybody would like to ask him?
Well, let's see what we have here. No, I think that
understand. Okay.
The presentation was pretty thorough.
It covered every aspect
every possible
That's right. Hardly.
aspect and question that could
Michael,
ever be.
where were you at in 2017?
I was in St. Joseph, Missouri, at the airport there. We had an event and we had 25,000 people. I know that because they charged per car and they kept count. That was let me just say, that was my last hurrah, okay? That morning, I did 29 interviews, national and international. I was on BBC World Radio 6 times for like a total of 45 minutes. Every time I looked up, I saw the producer for BBC News running across the field, waving her arms, and I thought, oh boy, here we go again, And then during the eclipse itself, I was broadcasting on 4 local radio stations in the St. Joseph and Kansas City area. So I thought, okay, this time, I'm
right,
Holly and I are going to be pretty much with a few friends by ourselves, no media.
Yeah, well, we appreciate you sharing your experience beforehand, because I think everybody totally understands when it comes to totality, we all want to see it ourselves.
That's correct.
Yeah,
yes.
We need that time and space to enjoy it ourselves. So thank you so much for giving your talk tonight. I enjoyed it every bit as much as the first time. It was great. And I think you make people think of things that we haven't thought of, probably, like the porta potties. And I love looking at your kid and saying, go in your pants.
Adult diapers, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Help somebody, so.
Yeah, definitely.
That's the
astronauts wear.
Oh gosh. Well, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that so much, and I'm sure we will see you in the future again.
Indeed.
All right. What I would also like to do tonight, I'm going to share my screen just real quick for one thing. Hang on, I got stuff in the way. In May, our speaker is going to be Astro Bob, and his topic will be Snap, Crackle, Pop. Can you really hear the Northern Lights? And he is going to go into some details and ideas and tell us a little bit about, well, what he knows about it and what might or might not be, which I think it's great timing because as we were talking about the aurora and how much activity has been on the sun. So join us May 12th for Astro Bob and the Astronomical League gang for Snap, Crackle, Pop. Can we really hear the Northern Lights? I think that will be an excellent talk. And that is really about all I have tonight. Does anybody else have anything they would like to add? All right, Scott, thank you so much. I am going to let you close, but thank you for your time, your energy. Michael, again, thank you. Carol, David, everybody, thank you. And thank you, audience, for being out there. We enjoy doing this, and there's so much going on in astronomy anymore that we will continue to be here. So, Scott, I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, all right. So we want to thank everybody for tuning in today, and we'll be back next month with another Astronomical League Live program. If you haven't already signed up for the 2023 Alcon and gotten your LIGO ticket, okay, don't forget that. I mean, they're offering it at such a low price, and this is really one of the most amazing observatory installations in the world, where they can measure the frequency and the movement of gravity wave, and that is just, it's unbelievable. If you don't know much about gravity waves, check it out on Wikipedia or whatever, just to get a little insight into it. But the people who developed this amazing machine really deserved a Nobel Prize. Wait a minute, I think they actually did get Nobel Prizes for it. Anyways, so thanks very much, Terry, and Michael, thank you. And we want to thank everybody watching us around the world in our audience. And you guys take it easy. And as our friend Jack Horkheimer always used to say, keep looking up. Good night.
Good night.